One of the most controversial animal welfare issues is the use of animals in scientific research. Now, it's difficult to work out how many animals are used worldwide. Many countries don't report animal use. Those countries that do have inconsistencies in how they report the animal use. However, we do have some information about animal use in various countries, and using that, it's been possible to extrapolate to other countries based on their publications of scientific research. In 2005, there were 127 million living non-human vertebrates that were used for animal research worldwide. There are two main drivers of the increasing use of laboratory animals worldwide. The first relates to the use of genetically modified animals, and the second relates to their use in large-scale chemical testing programs. In the United Kingdom, in 2009, the use of genetically altered animals exceeded the use of normal animals for the first time, and they've been rising ever since. The artificial production of genetically modified strains is an inherently invasive process involving minor and major physiological challenges and surgical procedures and the alteration of animal genomes. Large-scale chemical testing programs aim to bridge knowledge gaps about the toxicity of chemicals that are imported into Europe or the United States in very large volumes. And the programs that have been initiated are expected to use absolutely unprecedented numbers of animals in toxicity testing. Within Europe, the REACH chemicals testing program entered into force in 2007. It aims to assess the toxicity of some 30,000 chemicals produced or imported into the European Union in quantities in excess of 1 tonne annually. And it's expected that this program could require the use of almost 22 million non-human vertebrates. Within the United States, the High Production Volume Challenge Program, or HPV program, similarly aims to assess the toxicity of chemicals that are imported in quantities in excess of 1 million pounds annually. Just under 3% of all of the 75,000 industrial chemicals in use within the United States had actually been tested for carcinogenicity. Now, the propensity to cause cancer, is the toxicity of greatest public health concern. The cost of testing these just under 3% of all industrial chemicals was estimated to be hundreds of millions of US dollars, millions of skilled personnel hours, and millions of animal lives. Most of the species used in animal research are rodents, mice and rats. Data from the European Union going back as far as 2000 indicates that around about 80 to 85% of all animals used are rodents and rabbits. Some 10 to 15% tend to be cold-blooded animals, the reptiles, the fish, the amphibians. Around about 5% are usually birds, and a very small proportion, usually less than 2%, are animals such as dogs, cats, primates, horses. The distance that animals have to travel to laboratories is an important animal welfare concern. Most of the animals used in European laboratories come from other European countries, but a small number come from further afield, and these are species such as Old World primates, cats, ferrets, and even some dogs. Around about 45% of all the animals are used in fundamental biological studies with no obvious application. Some 30% are used for research and development and quality control of products intended for use in human and veterinary medicine and dentistry. Around about 10% are used in toxicity testing, and just under 2% tend to be used for educational purposes. When considering impacts on animals, it's important to consider how invasive procedures are. Invasive procedures are those which interfere with bodily integrity. This can occur through puncture or incision, such as the insertion of an instrument or foreign material, such as occurs in some surgical procedures, alteration of the genome, or physiological experiments. When we include animals that are killed, and when we exclude all purely observational studies, so we're looking at studies in which something is done to animals, data from Australia and Canada indicates that some 25 to 45% of all procedures are actually markedly invasive for animals. It would be helpful to also know the proportion of animals that receive adequate painkillers, the correlation between anaesthesia, painkillers and painful procedures, and also other factors that affect welfare, such as environmental husbandry standards, opportunities for socialisation and enrichment. However, unfortunately, unlike laboratory animal numbers, this sort of data is commonly not reported. We should also be considering other factors that impact on animal welfare over the lifetimes of animals, such as incidences of disease, health status, nutritional status, the type of environmental and husbandry conditions that animals have experienced over the longer term.